Hi guys, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this necklace that I am calling diamond rope. Now this is a cubic right angle weave rope that comes down into, we'll do a little geometric shaping and it'll come down into a diamond. And then when we are done with that, we will embellish. I may need to cut this tutorial in half and just do the rope first and then the embellishments in a second tutorial. Though this is more advanced, the embellishments are fairly simple. It just, there's many steps. And the cubic right angle weave itself, I'm using small beads and the color is kind of hard to see on camera. So I recommend that you go watch the bling bangle tutorial, which is a tutorial for beginners for cubic right angle weave. If you have not done cubic right angle weave before, I highly suggest that you do that. It is a tutorial that is much easier to see the beads, understand. I go through very detailed how to do the cubic right angle weave. So like I said, if you don't know it, do that tutorial first. You don't necessarily have to go through the whole tutorial and do the embellishments, but you should learn the weave from that tutorial before you attempt this tutorial if you do not know the weave already. Anyway, this is what I have planned to do, and like I said, I may break it into two tutorials. If I do, I will start, the first one will be the rope, the second one will be the embellishments. And I will start right where I leave off on the second video. Anyway, let's look at what we'll need today. For this project, you will need 15O seed beads, a couple of grams. I am using a Toho black diamond rainbow. And then you'll need 8O seed beads, several grams. I wouldn't start with anything less than 10 to 15 grams for this, probably more like 15 just to make sure that you have enough. It's going to take a lot of 8O seed beads. And this is a Toho, and it's also black diamond rainbow. Then you'll need a 2x3 roundel crystal. This is a champagne 2x3 roundel. Then you will need, and you'll need about 100 of them. You will need a 4mm bicone crystal. You'll need about 150 of them. And this one is a Swarovski opal tanzanite, I believe. Tanzanite opal, something like that. This is a toggle clasp, of course. You'll need one of those. And you'll need several yards of Fireline. I'm using 8-pound, and you will need an English beading needle. Or not necessarily an English beading needle, but a beading needle. I'm using an English beading needle. Don't listen to me today. I'm kind of crazy. Anyway, that's what you'll be needing for this. And we'll get started. Thread about a wingspan, maybe a little more, of 8-pound Fireline onto your beading needle, and we will start our cubic right angle weave by picking up 4 8O seed beads. Just like this. Bring them down to the end of your thread. You don't need to leave a long tail, just enough to hold on to. And then from the tail side up, sew back through all 4 of the beads you just put on your thread. And pull, holding on to your beads. Create a loop like this, and in the same direction that your loop is going, come back around and come through just the first seed bead you added onto your thread, and pull. Pull the tail and the working thread tight, and this is what you should have. Get a little closer. Now we're going to sew through all of these beads again, just to ensure that they are secure and our weave will not fall apart. This is our base unit that we will be working from, so we want to make sure that it's nice and secure. Once you have sewn through back to where your tail is, sew through 2 more beads so that you are exiting opposite where your tail is. And this is what you should have. And we're going to start our weave through this bead here. Now each bead is going to be an individual unit basically of right angle weave. That's how cubic right angle weave works. You make a unit here, 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 and here, and then you join them on the top. So we are going to start through this base unit bead, and we're going to pick up 3 beads because each unit will consist of 4 beads. We have 1 here we're starting with, so we need 3 more. We are exiting this side of the bead. We will go through the opposite side of the bead and pull. Now you have 2 units. Turn your work and go into the next base unit bead. Pull your thread through. Pick up 2 beads this time because we have the base unit bead and we have this bead in the previous unit that we will use to help complete our 4 beads. So we'll pick up 2, we're exiting here, we're going to go into the bead closest from the previous unit we just created and pull. Turn your work. Go into the next base unit bead closest to where your thread is exiting. Pick up 2 more beads to create your 4 beads. That bead is funny. Let's get another one. We're going to use this bead and these 2 beads to create our 4 beads. So we're exiting here, we're going to come into this one, and then through the base unit bead again, and pull. Now, we have what looks like a little weird blob thing here. On this unit, it's a little bit different. We'll go through the base unit, right next to where our thread is exiting from the previous base unit bead. We will use this bead, and this bead for our unit. So all we will need is 1 more bead to create our 4. So we will come up through the side bead next to where our base unit thread is exiting. Pick up a bead and then come into the other bead that you added from the previous unit over here. So through here and then back through your base unit bead and pull. Now this will cup your work, so just pick it up from the bottom and pull tight. Now we need to get up to the top beads here, so we're going to go through the little side bead. We're exiting this base unit, we're going to go up the side bead here, pull. We need to create our cube now by joining our top beads. We have 4 beads on top here, so we're going to go into the top bead, the next top bead, and the next top bead, and then the next top bead. I like to, now that I've gone through all 4, I like to go back through 2 more, so I'm going around 1.5 times to make sure everything is secure. And now we have this little funny cube. The first one looks kind of strange and it's kind of hard to see what's going on. The second unit, once you get a couple on here, will kind of form it to where you can see exactly what's going on. So now that we are exiting this top bead, this will become our base unit beads, and we'll work each 4 unit out of these beads on top here. So we need to start with 3 because we're going to use this bead as our 4th. Our thread is exiting here, we're going to come through the opposite side and pull. Turn your work, go into the next base unit bead, and now we will pick up 2 beads because we have 2 here to complete our 4 beads. We will come through the bead in the previous unit and the base unit again and pull. Turn our work, come into the next base unit bead, pull. Now we're going to use this bead and this bead. That will be 2 of our 4, so we'll pick up 2 more. We'll come through the previous unit bead and the base unit bead and pull. Now, on our 4th unit, we have 3 beads to work with. So we'll go through the base first, up through a side unit bead, the one next to where our thread is exiting, pick up a bead, go through the bead on the other side, and then back through the base unit bead. Now we need to climb up the side bead. We exited the floor, we're climbing up the side bead, and our 4 little beads on top are loose, so we need to come up into the top beads and sew through all of them. I've gone through 4, I'm going to go through 2 more to make sure it's nice and secure. Now I have 2 little cubes, and you can see once you get more than 1 unit, it starts to form something that is recognizable as a cube. Now we're going to build 1 more. We're coming out of this bead right here. We need 3 to complete our 4 since we have 1 to start with. Come into the opposite side where your thread is exiting and pull. There's our first unit. Go into the next base unit bead. Always start in the base unit bead. Now we have 2 beads to work from. We need 2 more to complete the 4. Pick up 2, go through the previous unit bead and back through the base unit bead and pull. Turn your work, go through the base unit bead next to where your thread is, pick up 2 beads. We're going to complete our unit with sharing this bead and this bead, so we're going to go up through this bead and back down through the bead we're exiting and pull tight. Now on our 4th unit, we are going to go into the bottom bead, base unit bead. We have 2 beads here to work with, so we're going to go up through the side bead here, pick up 1 bead, go down through the next side unit bead and the base unit bead. And now we will climb up the wall here, right next to where our thread is exiting, and then join together the top beads. We are going to do this stitch until we have 6 units. So we have 3 units. You can just count the hole here. 1, 2, 3. And continue doing the stitch until you have 6, and we'll be back. Okay, so now I have made 6 units. I'm hoping that this color that I have chosen is good enough for you guys to see. I should have probably chosen something a little darker. But anyway, I have made my 6 units. You count the little empty boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 units. And the 4 top beads we've been working out of, we are now not going to work out of anymore because we are going to make a corner. We're going to make a square for our pendant, which we will convert into a diamond, of course, just the way that we lay it out. But we're going to now need to turn a corner and work this this direction here instead of out of the top beads where we've been working straight. So my thread is coming out of this little bead right here. This one here. Now I'm going to use it as my base unit bead, and I'm going to work around these 4 beads instead of these 4 beads on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3 beads just like you would do to begin another unit, and my thread is exiting here. I'm going to come through the bead here on the opposite side where my thread is exiting, and then I am going to go into the base unit bead next to where my thread is exiting right here and pull. I am now going to work through this bead and with this bead. So we're going to share these 2 beads. So I'm going to pick up 2 beads. I'm going to go down through the side bead in the previous unit we just created, and then back down through the base unit bead and pull. Now I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to go into this little base unit bead right here. I'm going to work from this bead and this bead, so I need 2 more beads to complete my 4. Come down through this bead here, into my base unit bead here, and pull. Then we are going to go into this bead here to make our last wall. And of course we have 3 beads available to us, just as we were doing before. We will go through the base unit bead, climb up the next wall unit bead next to where our thread is, pick up a bead, go into the next unit across, the little bead across our unit here, and then back down into our base. Then we'll crawl up this bead right here, right next to where our thread is coming out, and then we'll turn our work and we will tighten the top beads by going through, sewing through all 4 of our top beads. And then sew through halfway again here. And now we have a corner. It's like that. So we're going to work this direction now. We're going to count this unit as our first one, and this is our second one, and we're going to make sure that on this angle we have 6 units. Okay, so I've done my next 6 units, counting the corner unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this will be our next corner unit to start with. So I've sewed my top beads together until I'm coming out of the inside bead here. Right there. And that's where I'll start my next unit. Instead of sewing through the top like I have been doing here, I'm going to start here. So we're going to pick up 3 to start our unit and come in through the opposite side where the thread is exiting. Then we're going to go into the next unit or next bead right next to where our thread is exiting, and we'll pick up 2 seed beads. We will share this bead and this bead, come through and pull, go through the base bead here, pick up 2 more beads. We'll share this bead and the base unit bead. So we'll go down into our side bead and our base unit and pull. And you can see we're forming our little square here. We'll turn it, go into our base unit bead, then we will come up the wall here. We will pick up one bead because we've got three, this bead, this bead, and this bead. We need to have four, so we'll pick up one, go down the wall, back into the base. We'll climb back up the wall bead here, or the side bead. Then we will come into the top beads and secure all four of them. And then we'll start working our units this direction. And we will do that until we have 6, counting the corner unit. And then we will make another corner. And when we get to our 6th or our last, our 5th unit here, we will attach here. So I'm going to go ahead and make my 6 units here, my corner, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I have made my other corner. I sewed through and came down and, well, actually this way. And now I am ready to connect my 5th unit. I've made 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is my 6th unit here, and my 4th unit will just be the walls. However, I've run very short on thread. So I'm going to show you how I like to join my Fireline. Now there is a video on YouTube called Joining Fireline for Bead Weavers. I recommend it all the time. You'll be able to see better on that one if you watch it, because he uses darker Fireline, and this is going to be kind of hard for you to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of Fireline. I am going to cross it underneath the piece of Fireline on my piece of work. I want to stay fairly close to my bead work when I do this because I don't want to have to pull my joint through my beads a lot. I just want to have to pull it through my first unit. So I'm staying really close to my bead work. And I've crisscrossed them, then I'm going to crisscross them again, bring the bottom through. This is just a square knot. I'm going to pull my square knot, and I'm going to pull it as close to my beadwork as I can and tighten it a little bit. And then I'm going to take my 2 tails here and I'm going to cut them rather short because when you do this, if you have long tails, then you're not going to be close to your beadwork anymore. I could have really even got this a little bit closer, but I've cut my 2 tails, and you can see here now, there's my little knot, there's my 2 tails. I'm going to take a lighter, and I'm going to just put the little tail in until it makes a little tiny ball on the end there, on the very bottom of the flame, like this. And then I'm going to pull the 2 ends together tight. And this makes a little tiny joint in your Fireline, and it's very strong. It's a great way to join it. There are people out there that disagree and say that it'll ruin the thread because you're pulling the knot through. But if you make very tiny joint with very tiny little balls on the end of your thread there, you do it close to your beadwork so you're not pulling your beads over it a million times. It is a very safe, secure way to join your Fireline. Many, many bead weavers use this trick, and let me tell you, it makes your life a lot easier. So now that we've done that, I'm going to thread my needle back onto my new piece of thread here. And right here, let's get real close, I am coming out of this bead right here. Now I need to join these 2 units together. Now I have my 4 top beads here, and I have my 4 bottom beads here. So all I have to do is add my side beads now to join this together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a bead. I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to find the opposite bead in the unit across in this side over here, and I'm going to go through that bead and pull my thread through. And then I'm going to add 1 more bead right here, and I'm going to go back through the bead I started in and pull. And now I have joined this side, so I have 1 unit here. Now I'm going to go to my side unit here and pick up my work a little bit. I'm going to go into the bottom bead here, I'm going to pick up another bead. I'm going to go into the top bead across, right here. So my thread is here, coming out here. I'm going to go into this bead right here and pull. Now I have my 4 beads on the side here, but they're not secure. So I'm going to go down through the side bead here and back through the bead I started in on the bottom here and pull. Pull it all together tight, and now it is joined just like the rest of the units. Now I'm going to turn my unit around, and I am then going to go through the bottom bead here. Now I have on this side, I have 3 beads. I have this bead, and this bead. So all I have to do is add this bead. So I'm going to pick up 1. I'm going to go through the top bead. I'm coming out of the bottom. I'm going to go through the top, just like this. Oops. And pull it tight. And now you can see I have my 4 beads. Now I'm going to go down through the side bead and back through the bottom bead and secure this unit. Now I probably should have started on the inside, but I didn't. It's a little bit harder to get to the inside, but all 4 of my beads are already here. All I have to do is sew through these 4 beads, just like we've been doing in the top units. All I have to do is sew through these. So I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm going to go on to the inside, pull my thread through, go up through the side bead here. All 4 beads are there. I just have to sew through them without tangling my thread would be good. Then the corner bead here on the inside, I have to go through. Now you can do this inside bead joint first if you want to, so that you don't have to try to sew your last unit together on the inside, but it's really not that difficult. You just have to find the beads, locate them, and sew through them until you have them nice and tight. And now that I have these beads secure on the inside, you can see the unit looks just like the rest of them. I'm coming out of the bead here, the corner bead on the inside. I'm going to go through this bead here on the top. Now I'm going to begin making my rope on the top of my triangle now. And I'm going to want to come out of this unit here. These are my 4 beads that I'm going to start building from on this side. It's the corner, the top. Let's back off just a little bit. No, not that way. That way. Okay, so this is my corner. I'm coming out of the top bead here on the face of my unit. I'm going to go into the side bead here, right here, and pull my thread through. And I'm going to start building my rope from here. So I'm going to pick up 3 of my seed beads and go back into the bead I'm exiting on the opposite side. And then I am going to go into the side bead here, the next base unit. These 4 beads are my base unit right here. So now I'm going to go up into this one. It's the same thing we've been doing, just a little different angle. Then now that I have this bead and this bead, I need 2 to make my 4. So I'm going to go through this one and this one. It's just like the corners we've been making on our pendant square here. Now we're going to go into this bead here, right here. Let's get a little closer again now. Oops. Sorry, I'm having problems with my camera today. pick up 2, go through the side and the corner, then go through the front, create the rest of my square, my cube here. Now I have 3 beads, so I'm going to come up through this bead here, then I'm going to add a bead and come down through this bead here and my base unit I started in. And now I'm going to sew back up to the top beads, and I am going to secure them. Now I can start building out this way to make my rope to go up around my neck, but I also want to go ahead and make my other side here so that when I come back around I won't be confused. So I'm going to go ahead and sew down into this bead here. And I'm going to make another unit coming this way. This is going to form a V for us, okay? So I'm coming out of this bead right here. I've got my top unit I just built for my necklace, and this is the bead that I'm exiting right now. I'm going to build from this bead also, going this direction. So I'm going to pick up 3 8/0 seed beads. I'm going to come through the bead I'm exiting on the opposite side and pull. I am now going to go through the top bead here, which is my base bead for this unit. I'm going to pick up 2. I'm going to share this bead and this bead, so I will come down through this bead and pull. Now I'm going to go into the next bead, my base unit. I'm going to pick up 2 beads, come through the side bead and the base unit bead, just like this. Turn my unit. Now, come through the bottom bead. I have my 3 beads here. Come through the bottom bead. Go up through the side bead. Add my top bead, go through the side and the bottom. Then I'm going to sew back up to the top. I'm going to come up through my top beads, my 4 top beads, and I'm going to secure all 4 of them together, just like we've been doing. The units never change. They're always exactly the same. So once you've got them down, this won't be nearly as confusing as it looks. I go through 2 more just to get myself over here. Now, I am going to start building my rope from this side out, and then I will come back, I'll tie on, and I'll build my rope from this side out. But we're going to start by just making our units coming out this direction. I'm coming out of this bead here, so I'm going to pick up 3 beads, and I'm going to start my next cubic unit from these 4 base beads. Pick up 2, share this bead and this bead. Oops, got my thread underneath there. I don't know how I did that. There. I'm just going to continue building my unit. I want you to see what it's going to look like coming out so that it's not confusing here. I am doing exactly the same thing I've been doing all along, building just cubic unit after cubic unit. Secure my top beads. And then I will just continue. So this is what we have so far. You can see this is going to be our pendant, and this is going to be the rope that starts going up around our neck this direction, and this will go this direction. So we're just going to build on this one. Okay, so I have made my rope all the way to about 48 units, all the way to the end here. And now I'm going to attach my clasp on the end. Now you can make this as long or as short as you want. This will turn out to be about an 18-inch necklace, but with the extension of the pendant, it will probably be, it will hang down on the neck about 20 inches, of course, because of the pendant. But you can make your rope however long you want. If you want a 19-inch necklace, then you'll make your rope on either side 8 inches long. If you want it 20 inches on either side, you'll make it 10 inches long. So however many units you want. I've made about 48 units. And now I'm coming out of the bead here, I'm going to go ahead and attach the clasp on this side. Because I'm here and I'm not going to be back up here again, so I'm just going to finish it off. And I'm coming out of the bead right here. Let's see if we can get a little closer. These beads are kind of hard to see. I apologize for my color choice on this one. But they're pretty and I wanted to use them, you know? Okay, there we go. So we're coming out of one of our beads on the top here. I'm going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads and an 8-0. And then 4 more 15-0 seed beads. Like this. And then I'm coming out of this bead, I'm going to go into the very next bead. And push that up. And then I'm going to sew into the next bead here. And I'm going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads. And then I'm going to come up through this 8-0 that we already added. Right here. And pull. Then I'm going to pick up 4 more 15-0 seed beads. And I'm going to go down into, see, we came out of this one, so we're just going to go into the next one. Right here. And this is what you should have. And we're going to crawl back up these 15 right next to, we're coming out of this bead right here. We're going to crawl back up into the 15-0s next to it and then back through the 8-0. This will pull everything a little bit neater. Now we're going to pick up 2 8-0s or 2 15-0s and an 8-0, just like this. We're going to drop it down. We're going to pick up our clasp onto our needle. We're going to go back through the 8-0, but not the 15-0s. And pull. Pull everything tight at this point. And then pick up 2 more 15-0s and go through the 8-0. Now, you're just going to sew back up through these 15 O's, this 8O, and around the clasp, and back down and through this 8O. You're going to make it in a circle about 3 times, and then we'll tie off. So I've secured my clasp onto my end here. Just sewed up and around and through the 8O, both 8Os, and through the clasp 3 times. And then I went down the 15 O's here into my main body of work and sewed several times, knotting several times, and then cut it off. And then you need to put a new piece of thread onto your needle, and then we shall start. We'll tie on down here by the pendant and start our other side of our rope. So the way we're going to do this is about 3 units down, sew into one of the beads and pull until you get to the end of your thread, like this. I just have a little bit of thread left there. Now I'm going to go under a thread bridge in my work here, just like this. I'm going to pull until I have a small loop. And I'm going to make a half hitch knot. Secure it there. Now, I just put a little knot there. If I was out of frame, I apologize. Now I am going to sew around this entire unit that I tied on to. There's 4 little beads right here. I'm going to tie all the way around it. Just sew like your thread runs in a circular motion around this entire unit here. And secure it. Then tie another half hitch knot on the thread bridge. Make sure you're between your beads. Be very careful. We're going to be embellishing this, so we don't want to get a bunch of knots stuck in our beads and we can't run back up through them when we're embellishing. We want to do this very neatly and very carefully. Then we're going to sew up this bead here, back up the unit. We're going to go into the next unit by sewing through this bead, up through the next one here, following your thread path into this bead here, up into this bead here. Just follow your beads up. You don't have to do it exactly in the same beads I'm doing. Just make sure you follow your thread path. Actually, I don't want to go in that one. I want to go in the corner in here. Follow your thread path and then get yourself up to the unit that you will start your other side of your rope in. So don't worry about the exact beads I'm using, but just make sure that you're not crossing your threads. Just like that. Now my thread is in this bead here and I can start my rope in this direction. And I will do that until I have the same number of units as I did on the other side. And then put your other side of your clasp on, just like you did on this side. So you'll just go this many units, put your other side of your clasp on, and tie off. And then we'll tie on again and do our embellishments.